Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari in Maranello. This was John Elkann's dream. As widely expected, last Monday, the headquarters at Via Abetone Inferiore 4 became the center of the world, at least as far as motorsport is concerned. The British driver's first operational day was an opportunity to meet the workforce of the Prancing Horse, under the watchful eyes of the entire top management of the Red Team. Present in full ceremonial fashion were the leading figures of the historic Maranello company, President John Elkann, Chief Executive Officer Benedetto Vigna, and Team Principal Frederic Vasseur. The seven-time Formula One world champion appeared visibly moved by the welcome, and by discovering the inner workings of the company that not only produces the most famous cars in the world, but is, in the sporting realm, the ultimate factory of dreams, regardless of success on the track. That success in the top category has been absent since the time when Lewis Hamilton was taking his first steps in Formula One, astonishing the world with his immediate ability to fight for the title as a rookie, competing against Fernando Alonso. What is certain is that all the members of the Italian team were swept up by immense enthusiasm, which Ferrari will do everything to channel as a catalyst for the championship hopes of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, who was also discreetly present. Moreover, Ferrari's meticulous attention to every single detail in communication and image highlights the scale of the event, as well as the enormous expectations this partnership will inevitably be required to meet. Nothing less was expected from this initial point of contact. Times change, as does the way of communicating with the outside world. We know this well. Nevertheless, no Ferrari driver has ever been given such a welcome as a new arrival. After all, the Italian Formula One team had never signed a driver with so many accolades. Not even Michael Schumacher, when he arrived in 1996, had achieved Lewis Hamilton's milestones. The most powerful message of the day is subliminal, yet very clear to those familiar with the history of the most decorated team in the world. John Elkann's presence, acting almost as a shadow for Lewis Hamilton at every step, even as he greeted fans outside the Prancing Horse's headquarters, betrays the air of the Agnelli family's desire to claim and remind everyone of the parenthood of the signing of the British champion. Beyond the guaranteed return on investment from the colossal marketing and merchandising machinery, with the Lewis Hamilton deal, the grandson of lawyer Gianni Agnelli seeks to etch his name into the legendary history of Ferrari. For those with a few gray hairs, it is well remembered that the lawyer, a staunch Juventus supporter, was not accustomed to attending the major events of the Red Team. However, he made an exception during the 1996 Formula One racing campaign when the first Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, the not-so-competitive F310, was unveiled. On February 15, 1996, Gianni Agnelli hosted the event under a marquee set up in Fiorano. He took the stage during Michael Schumacher's first official appearance and, in his unique style, conveyed the magnitude of the investment and the high expectations. Certainly, Michael did not come to us for a crust of bread. These were the words of John's grandfather. The current Ferrari president has little in common with his illustrious ancestor. However, the arrival of Lewis Hamilton seems like a nostalgic attempt to retrace his grandfather's footsteps. It undoubtedly sends a subliminal message to all managerial levels of the Ferrari racing department. Now that the Prancing Horse has a driver who has won everywhere, more than anyone else, there can no longer be excuses for not seizing the Formula One World Championship. The car must live up to the seven-time world champion and Charles Leclerc, who, in his seventh season with the Italian team, has a unique opportunity to win his first world title by defeating the driver who rewrote Formula One's records. Last Monday might be remembered as the day marking the dawn of a new golden age for Ferrari, or, at worst, another grand vision without a happy ending. Those who care about the fate of the Red Team hope to be at the dawn of a new era of victories, regardless of who will lead the historic Italian team to success as envisioned by current President John Elkann. Lewis Hamilton has therefore embarked on a new phase of his career by joining Ferrari, leaving behind 12 years of triumphs with Mercedes. After a period that cemented him as one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history, the Briton decided to fulfill a lifelong dream. Despite his bond with Mercedes, marked by 6 drivers' titles and 8 constructors' championships, the German team's struggles to master the ground effect regulations prompted Lewis Hamilton to seek new challenges and opportunities at Maranello. Lewis Hamilton, however, faces a task far from simple. At Ferrari, he must contend with Charles Leclerc, a driver considered among the most talented of his generation. Charles Leclerc's speed and precision have made him one of the best in qualifying, as evidenced by the fact that he has never lost a head-to-head qualifying battle with a teammate since 2018. Peter Windsor, former team manager and F1 analyst, does not have high expectations that Lewis Hamilton will replicate his past dominance. The former Ferrari general manager and current journalist suggested that anyone expecting Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari to be the same as the British driver who dominated at Mercedes should reconsider. According to Peter Windsor, the context is profoundly different. Charles Leclerc is not Bottas, he's much, much faster. This statement underscores how the Monegasque driver represents a new and challenging rival for Lewis Hamilton in a team historically known for its internal dynamics. Lewis Hamilton, however, is no stranger to tough battles with his teammates. From the start of his career, he faced drivers like Fernando Alonso, then a two-time world champion, and later Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, and George Russell, all capable of putting the Briton under pressure. Now, in 2025, the competition with Charles Leclerc adds another layer of complexity to his career. This new chapter represents not only an internal battle, but also an opportunity to prove that despite his age and the team change, Lewis Hamilton can still compete at the top of Formula One against one of the most promising drivers in the current field. While Lewis Hamilton completed his first lap in the morning, he handed over the 2023 F1 Ferrari to his new teammate Charles Leclerc in the afternoon. Despite the foggy weather, it was interesting that the British and the Monegasque drivers only completed a total of 131 kilometers, 89 kilometers with Hamilton and 42 with Leclerc. The sport's governing body, the FIA, introduced a restriction for this year, limiting teams to only a total of 1,000 kilometers under the rule that is referred to as testing of previous cars. This allows teams to use two-year-old cars, but the new rule introduced a maximum length of 1,000 kilometers and a duration of 20 days for each team, while regular drivers are allowed to take part in TPC runs only on 4 days during a calendar year. This restriction explains why Ferrari elected to limit its running on Wednesday, when the weather conditions were far from ideal. Ferrari will now travel to Barcelona to perform a more extensive test program next week at the Circuit de Catalunya. In fact, some of the mechanics have already arrived in Spain to prepare the garages and the SF23 for the running. It is believed that the 3-day program will take place on January 28, 29, and 30, with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton sharing driving duties across the 3 days. The two drivers are believed to have carried out work in the simulator after the Wednesday running at Fiorano and are expected to arrive at Barcelona on Monday. Following the 3-day TPC running, Ferrari will remain in Montmeló to take part in the Pirelli tire test. That running will see McLaren also join Ferrari at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, where Pirelli will try out its 2026 products. The tire test will mark the first time that Hamilton drives the 2024 F1 Ferrari, the SF24, as teams are allowed to use their most actual cars during tire testing. The 2026 spec tires will continue to feature 18-inch rims, but the front tires will be 25 mm narrower, while the rears will be reduced by 30 mm in width compared to the 2025 tires.